Welcome to the Nintopics Podcast. My friends, we are here live. And I don't know about you, but this roller coaster has me dizzy. It's been
Very
a roller coaster, and it's been a really crazy roller coaster. That's not it. Hold on. Let me get that. Because we're survivors. We survived the day today with all this crazy news, and I think we deserve an applause, right? It's Friday. If you got over a week, right, of work, congratulations, you made it to Friday, right? It is Friday. It's finally time to relax and rest, and you're in the best place here at the Nintopics Podcast. It's the best little treat at the end of the week, right? So yes. Without further ado, let me present to you the all-star cast here. We have the beautiful, the one, the only Queen, Zelda's mama herself, Joycey J. How you doing, Joycey?
Hey guys, how's everybody doing?
And we got Nintendo. We went over to Japan. We had to travel to Japan. I put my GPS, but I got lost. But it took me to this big giant house. Next to that house was, for some reason, Princess Zelda's, and then the Mushroom Kingdom was there too. And then there, walking on the street, walking his dog, and then talking to Miyamoto was Paul Gill Network. And then, so I just grabbed him, kidnapped him, put him in that van with the little thing over his head, and then brought him back over here to the Nintopics Podcast. How you doing, Paul?
Very good. That's all true. Or some of it. Most of it, maybe.
It wasn't a dog, it was a cat.
It was a cat, right? It was a cat.
I'm doing good at saying.
Cat named Bowser?
Yes. It was Cat Bowser.
And so, yeah, we have our other member. Zach had to work today. He had to do something with some big giant screen. So shout out to Zach Hendricks. We'll see you next week. And so today, my friends, it's crazy, right? Paul, Joycey, it's a roller coaster of thrills and thrills that we're having in the world of Nintendo with everything that's going on, right? The news has changed so much. It's like the main topic was the Xbox presentation today, right? And what that meant for Nintendo, but not anymore. That took a back seat. So guess what? The Nintendo 2. That's probably what they're gonna call it. Nintendo 2. Thus, the Nintendo Super Nintendo Switch, the Nintendo Focus, or the Nintendo Switch 2, whatever you guys decide to dub it.
The Switch 64 Cube.
The Switch 64 Cube. That's a mouthful.
Yes, that's what I'm calling it. The Switch NX. Apparently,
now arriving in 2024. Not only that, but I think, was it Jeff Grubb on Twitter? He said, "Oh, I confer with a whole bunch of other sources, and they all say the same thing. It's coming in Q1 of 2024. Now, 25. Now, Q1, guys, it's the first. Was it the first 3 months? Right, first 3 months of next year. It's 4 quarters, right? Of 3 months each. So, sorry, I got a choke on coffee. Anyway, 3 months, the January, February, or March. Okay, so basically, we're gonna jump right into that main topic. Switch 2. Is it coming in 2024 or 2025? We have a poll up, okay? Let me know, chat. Are you in 2024, Team 2024, or Team 2025? We're gonna see that. We're gonna see that poll at the end of the podcast to see who wins, and then yeah, you're just gonna you get to tell your friends that you won, because we
bragging rights.
we can't afford to give you all Switches. Not yet, not yet. One day I'm like, you get a Switch, you get a Switch, you get a Switch, but not yet. When
Switch 5 will be out.
Switch 5, yeah,
or on its way out.
Yeah.
I'm kidding.
All right, so without further ado, let me go ahead and recap that news a little bit here. So yeah, basically, we have some Brazilian journalist by the name of something, and he said that he heard from 5. First thing I think I saw it at one news outlet was like, okay, he heard from 3 people. I saw another one said, oh, he heard from 4 people here. Oh wait, he heard from 5 people here. It keeps increasing here. All right, so he heard from 5 different sources, apparently connected directly to Nintendo, that the Nintendo Switch 2 would arrive in the first quarter of 2025. Okay, and so I'm gonna throw it out to the chat here. Our next topic is gonna be the Nintendo Direct. Okay, so when we're talking about the Switch 2, if you're gonna mention the Nintendo Direct, don't go too deep into that, but you can reference it, so like that. That way we can kind of merge those two and then do like a little nice high five to the other topic. But yeah, so far Switch 2, one update that came up recently was that Metal YouTuber by Metal 64, am I saying it right?
Super Metal Dave 64.
Super Metal Dave Ninja 64.
Super Metal Dave 64.
Super Metal Dave Ninja 64.
Super Metal Dave 64.
Super Metal Dave Ninja 64. All right, so Super Metal Dave Ninja 64.
That's not his name, y'all.
The Super Metal Dave Ninja 64. He discovered something, which then Andre shared it, and that's where I found it. And so he discovered that in Brazil, the Switch was launched in 2020. That's 3 years after the 2011-17. I was going to make the 11. The 2017 launch in the US. Okay, now we have the whole thing, but then again, it's 3 years. Okay, in Brazil, it took 3 years for the Switch to get there, and the date that we're getting is 2025. So people are saying, okay, this could be related to only Brazil and the rest of the United States, and then we get the Switch 2 in 2024, which is a possibility. Now I want to go ahead and throw it out to Joycey. I want to get your thoughts on this. What do you think about the roller coaster? Are you okay? Did you take your motion sickness pills before getting on?
No, this is me on the roller coaster, and I'm always sitting in the back. Only punks ride in the front.
So go ahead. What do you think about this?
And real quick, I got that line from my stepmom. That's literally how my dad met my stepmom.
Cool.
He wouldn't. Once he found out she rode in the back on roller coasters, he was like, he knew she was the one. They've been married for 30 years, so it works.
That's adorable.
Yeah, they're an adorable couple. So anyway. So when it comes to Switch 2, this is my thought process. Yeah. I know the reports are saying, and the rumors were saying March of this year.
For reveal. For reveal.
Right. Excuse me. Yes, correct. For the reveal.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if Nintendo wants to do that long of a lead up all the way for it to release in Q1. And also Q1 doesn't mean January 2nd, after the holiday. That means either January, February, March. Possibly even April. So I'm now, if this is with this information, I'm still team March 2024. But with this information, I can see where it would make sense for us to get kind of a repeat of the Switch. We get some kind of teaser, big trailer that kind of shows off those games and get the cool music and get the big commercial, probably around, what was that, like October? Y'all know I'm terrible with dates. October-ish, and then the full presentation for all the shareholders and everything later in the year, and then we get a drop next year with something huge. And I personally believe that's going to be the next big 3D Mario. I don't know if it's going to be an Odyssey game or if it's going to be something completely new. I would love another Odyssey, but it's Mario. Can't really go wrong.
Okay,
but I'm still team until March is over.
Yeah. Okay.
Reveal for March 2024. That's my opinion.
Awesome. All right, Paul. What do you think, Paul?
Do I think it's coming out in 2024? I'm still leaning towards yes, 2024 as the calendar year,
Mhm.
but I'm completely okay with it coming out in 2025.
Okay.
If it is coming out this year, I could see this March or June possible reveal, because then you're dealing with not too many months after the reveal for the system to come out. I don't think you
Okay.
want to have it like Nintendo had in the past, a year and a half. I did the breakdown on Twitter from like when Nintendo shows off a new system for the first time and when it comes out, and there are always these giant gaps in between. That's also because that's how the industry went back then. It was a little bit slower. They knew the output was going to decrease. They had to keep interest high, so they had to show you what was next. So in that year gap of not having a whole lot of software, they had to have some anticipation for the next machine. There have been no gaps in the last 7 years on Nintendo Switch. Their software from the third-party standpoint has been keeping up. Their indies, which is another third party, has been keeping up. Internally, they went through the growing pains of Wii U and HD development, and they've never had a gap on Nintendo Switch. They've been smarter, more wise about pulling from their past and having remakes and ports because they're easier and smaller budgets than big games, but they've also had the big games. So there is no, we have to reveal the next system ASAP because our hardware and software business is declining so rapidly that we need to entice people for the next platform that comes out in a year. It's going to be a small window. So if this thing gets shown off in March, I really don't think it's coming out in 2025 because you're looking at 9 months or something like that. That's going to hurt your sales for too long of a time because the system is still selling so freaking well. I did another tweet on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it. And I showed the breakdown of per calendar year how Nintendo Switch has been performing. In 2017, out for 10 months, and then every year afterwards. And it has gone up, and then the drops have been so minimal that even if it has a big drop, like the biggest drop yet for this year, more than any of the other years' percentage drops, you're still looking at 12.6 million is my projection for this year. That's still fantastic. I did another tweet, how much software has been selling, and the volume of software, it went up even higher as far as the ratio of software to hardware. Nintendo's never been in this situation before. There is no rush to jumping on and, cannibalizing their own sales, excuse me, by revealing this thing too soon. So unless if it gets shown by June or July, you do need a certain ramp up time. You do have to have a certain amount of anticipation, get a feel. If they're making the units, they want to have enough units available. If they're still working on software, you don't want just 1 or 2 games ready. You want a few games ready for that window so you could have a steady flow, just like they did with Nintendo Switch. I know this is a little bit of a long tangent, but here's a little thing before I move on, because I don't want to take up too much time in case you want to throw your own thing on it.
There you go. Go ahead.
If this was 2024's lineup, how could you truly argue that it was bad? Okay, we got another Code Recollection. You would already have Princess Peach Showtime coming out, Mario vs. Donkey Kong today, Luigi's Mansion 2 port, Mario Thousand Year Door remake. You're going to get some third-party games that come out along the way anyways, stuff like Hades 2 and Silk Song. Now you're like, okay, that's good, but it's not a great year. Let's say Nintendo used their IP that they haven't used yet on Nintendo Switch. This year, 2024, they dropped a brand new Star Fox, a brand new Punch-Out, a brand new Kid Icarus, or the port from 3DS's Kid Icarus. They brought over Yoshi's Woolly World that many people missed on Wii U. They finally brought Xenoblade Chronicles X. They gave you a Metroid Prime 2 remastered, a Wind Waker port, and a brand new Donkey Kong. Holy cow, now you have a dozen games. Most of those are new. Something. a brand new Red Pro controller, and later on saying, hey, later on is going to come more. So you're enticing people to keep it up. You know, a new permanently reduced price software lineup of Player's Choice games, 5 to 12 games that are now $40. Hardware price drop for the existing 3 models. Maybe even a Nintendo Switch Micro that is half the size of a Nintendo Switch Lite, costs $80. Boom, smaller screen, but like that enters a whole new market, a whole new demographic that couldn't buy one before. And in tandem with this new permanently reduced software price for a few select games, you don't need a 2025. Who would complain if that was the 2024 lineup? The Star Fox, the Punch-Out, the 3D Donkey Kong, everything else that I've mentioned. Only 13.5 million people at most got to play Xenoblade Chronicles X. And guess what? It didn't sell that much. It only sold a little over 1 million, 2 million tops. Same thing with Yoshi's Woolly World. So despite those not being new games, they would be new for most people on Nintendo Switch. That is such a beefy year. Now, I'm not saying I think they're going to have that, because probably some of these IPs are being saved for Nintendo Switch 2. Maybe they have a little bit of a bigger vision. Maybe they didn't go ahead and develop it because they see, you know what, we have in mind what we want, and it's going to take a little bit more processing power, and that's why we need the higher CPU, higher GPU to deliver Star Fox, for instance, or this Punch-Out, or whatever. But some of these games you don't need to. And before people say, oh, but Switch is getting long in the tooth and it can't handle it, Pikmin 4 ran just fine. If Nintendo cooks, Nintendo rarely fails. I don't even know if Nintendo's ever made a bad game, like 3 out of 10. 5 being mediocre, maybe. But most of their games are good to great. So if they've been cooking a Star Fox on Switch, I don't think it would be suffering in any type of frame rate. Star Fox ran just fine on Wii U. How good was the game? Debatable, because they threw in these different kind of controls. But our new Star Fox game on Nintendo Switch, that system would be plenty powerful, and you would get quite the Star Fox experience that you probably wanted. Punch-Out on Wii was gorgeous. Nintendo Switch is eons more powerful than Wii. You'd get a brand new Punch-Out that would run just fine on Nintendo Switch. So it's not that it's too weak of a system. Maybe too weak to handle Grand Theft Auto 6 or the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X version of Mortal Kombat 1, or have its version of Hogwarts Legacy look as good as the competition, but it's still a competent machine. So I don't think you need a Nintendo Switch 2 this year, but I still think it is coming. But if this is what they had, I wouldn't need it at all. And I think part of this comes maybe from a little bit of an older generation. You know, I'm 40. I went through software droughts. I knew what it was like to have a game come out once every several months that you were interested in. I had one 3D Mario experience on Nintendo 64 and not another Mario game except for Paper Mario. And in here, I'm just bombarded with 3D Mario, 2D Mario, NSO access to all my other classic stuff, ports from this game, a Mario Maker game. Like, there's so much. Before, I had Mario Kart 64, and then I had to wait 5 years for Mario Kart Double Dash. Now, even though Mario Kart 8 Deluxe was a port, I got it, and then over a couple of years, I got another 6 tracks, another 6 tracks, another 6 tracks. Like, Nintendo has given so much more in such a smaller amount of time. But if this is how you were grown up, like, let's say you're 15 years old right now, and almost half of your life has been Nintendo Switch. You're used to this output. This is a part of you. You're hooked up and wired up a little bit differently. Not for better or worse, but you grew
just
up
different.
You grew up with the faster internet. You grew up with the social media. You got used to getting news all the time. We had video game magazines once a month as their source of entertainment. That's why there's no such thing as a bad Nintendo Direct, a bad partner showcase, because it's all news. Every day we're getting treated by Nintendo's Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, X, YouTube, social media feeds. So there's honestly so much, and it's not even like, oh, my expectations are lowered. No, I'm like legitimately happy with the output that we have. And the last thing I said I was going to keep it short. Almost impossible.
You're good.
I can't do it. I'm cooking right now. my little rant time just to try to get people to see it from a little bit different perspective. But I know it's hard because unless you lived it, it is hard to re-envision it.
Yeah.
Don't put all the eggs in one basket either. I've had friends. I'm a Ninja Turtles fan. Okay,
Mhm.
I'm going to use a little bit of a parallel here. The Ninja Turtles series that came out a few years ago, I know so many fellow, at the time I was late 30s-year-old adult, that were crying over this series and how they butchered it, and it was the end of the world for them, that they made Raphael the leader, they made Leonardo a secondary Michelangelo, they thought Turtles was dead. I'm like, this is an IP that has stood the test of time, and it's going to come back. This version might not be for you, but the next Ninja Turtles will be for you probably. There's this comic book series that's for you, but they put everything in one basket and they were destroyed. You're not happy with a Mario game coming out or a new Star Wars movie to watch? Doesn't this King Kong thing excite you and Godzilla? What about this, other IP? So how do I bring that back into this video game talk? Even if it's a partner showcase, I would say try to branch out and not just be like, I only want the next Mario, the next Zelda, the next Metroid, and be so sad and disappointed if there's nothing else. Have all of you played Astral Chain? I know not. There's 140 million Nintendo Switches out there, and there's only a couple of million at best Astral Chain owners. Look back at some of the games that have come out that you probably haven't purchased. Have 140 million of you played Hades? It's a marvelous game. Just pretend for a moment that Nintendo made it. Would that make you happier? It's just as good of a game for 2020 as Spider-Man was, as Ghost of Tsushima was, as Hyrule Warrior was. Like, Hades is incredible. And just one example. So, with this partner showcase, if it comes out and it's not a Nintendo one, look forward to Silksong. That's your 2D Metroid equivalent. Look forward to Hades 2. Look forward to some other third party. The more you diversify yourself, the more you're happy with more things in life. You're never longing for that one and being so disappointed if you don't get it, because you're happy with a whole bunch of other things. So you're filling your life constantly with little nuggets of happiness. And growing up, like I said, in the drought era, trust me, then we had a reason to complain. At the end of an N64, you had this year of treachery before GameCube came out, where it was like, oh my gosh, there's nothing to play. At the end of GameCube, there was this year of boredom before Wii. At the end of Wii, there was a year gap before, like, what's cool to play before Wii U comes out? Nintendo is fine right now. And if you absorb other medium, like the parks and the sneaker collaborations and the Lego sets and some of this other stuff that they have access to, that's what a Nintendo fan is. The modern day Nintendo fan, if anything, it should be better than what I was as a kid, because we didn't have as many IP. I didn't have Animal Crossing as one of my pillars because it didn't exist yet, I didn't have, this game here. It didn't exist yet. Splatoon. We're in Splatoon today. So, rant over. Have fun with more out there. Experience more. Be more welcoming of it. And you'll probably enjoy the entirety of what the software is. There are over 5,000 games. I bet you none of us here have a 10th of that, which would be 500. Now, not everything is worth buying, of course, but there's so much there that it's really not that bad if Nintendo Switch comes out next year and doesn't necessarily have the list that I made, but even something comparable is still strong and they're still good. And that's it. I don't have a microphone to drop, but that's
all right. Well, so I'm going to go ahead and flip the coin. I'll flip the coin here, and I'm going to tell the other side of the story. Because just like there is the positive side, there is not. I'm not calling it the negative side, but I'm calling it the real side. There are 5,000 games, but there are very different people with very different backgrounds. For example, myself, I'm a disabled person, right? I cannot play every game. Unfortunately, I can't play games like this game, Hollow Knight Silksong. Those little. I won't be able to play it. Games like they're made like an 8-bit 3D 2D type games. I can't play those games just because I I really can't tell the pixels apart. My games have to be like very high, like the contrast very high and bright, and the good resolution in order for me to enjoy it. So there in the 150 million on my on our subscriber list, we have a whole bunch of people that have some type of level of autism. They can't play just every game that's out there, and so I feel like Nintendo does need to deliver for everyone. You know, as like, and I understand. For us, I grew up in the '80s too. You know, I was there when NES came out. Well, I was a little kid, but I was there. I saw the launch of the SNES. I went to my local Kmart and went to the little, you know, game area to play right there. I saw the Virtual Boy on its stand right there when it was brand new. Put my eye sockets in there and threw up the next day. You know, I experienced all that too. And yeah, we are living in better times just because we have one console. We don't have two consoles anymore. We have a Nintendo Switch, and that's it, Nintendo Switch. And I think that's what has led Nintendo to be able to deliver so many games constantly. We are used to it. I'm spoiled to a Nintendo game every month, right? Every month, January, February, March, April, May, June.
And don't forget, you know, they're like we've gotten like constant tweets and announcements like all week.
Yeah, exactly. And so
Nintendo never would have talked to us like that back in the 90s.
Yeah, and the reality, and so part of the reality is that if Nintendo decides to push, well, I doubt this 100%, that they said they will push it to 2025. If they do decide to push it to 2025, I don't see it as a bad thing. You know, I can wait, but Nintendo has to deliver this year. Because in all reality, I know that not everybody plays. People want first-party games. They want that Mario. They want that Zelda. They want that Splatoon. They want, people want those third-party games they bought the Switch for. And so if there's nothing there, I know there's Metroid Prime 4. If 2025 is the year that enhances this year with Metroid Prime 4, you know, we could get Metroid Prime 4, and that'll actually kind of push everything, you know, make it a little better. But Nintendo does have to cook in order for this to be a good year and not have a little dip, because they can be in some danger of having just a little dip. You know, I think Switch 2, I think we're ready for it. I think that next month is the 7th year, right? We will be heading into the 8th year of the Nintendo Switch, and yeah, it's still selling well because of the system that it is. But when it comes to development wise, when it comes to you know, game wise, Nintendo needs to deliver when it comes to, like, if there are games that are Nintendo is sitting on, like The Legend of Zelda, Twilight Princess, and Wind Waker, release it. You know, release it. Don't wait till June. Do it now. Announce it now, because if you wait till June to announce it, no matter what Nintendo announces in this direct partner showcase, whatever, there are going to be a lot of fans, unfortunately, you know, that they're not going to get it. They're not gonna enter that space. Oh, okay, I'll just play what I have. They're gonna be upset. They're gonna kind of, like, you know what I mean? And so I believe that Nintendo does need to deliver something in order to appease the majority of the fans out there, right? And we are blessed that we're living in a time where we don't have to wait for too much for the next game. Next month we're getting Princess Peach Showtime, a brand new game dedicated to Princess Peach, right? She deserves the game finally, right? And then there's so many levels to that game. I can't wait to play it. Today's launch day, guys. Did you pick up Mario versus Donkey Kong? It's available today, right? You know, so that kind of explains how spoiled we are on Nintendo, that today, the day of this podcast, the day of this crazy news, we get a game, right? And so when I looked on Twitter, I didn't see anybody talk about Mario versus Donkey Kong. I saw them talking about Switch 2 and how it's going to be delayed. I'm like, Mario vs. Donkey Kong is out today. That you know, it's a remake, right? Am I right? The game is a remake from the
remake with new levels.
Yeah. So I'm picking it up. I'm gonna play it. I'm gonna review it on the channel because it's a fantastic game that I enjoy it. I enjoyed the demo a lot. But yeah, Paul had a great rant, an amazing rant. I'm on board with Paul's rant. But I want to emphasize. I want to emphasize with those who also can't play just everything. You know what I mean? And Nintendo has to give them something in order to sustain them to 2025. You know, I found myself personally going to my PS5 and my Xbox for to get my other games because I've already played enough on Switch that I can play, and so I see other PlayStation doesn't have anything. They admitted it. They don't have anything, so I'm guessing
it's too.
Yeah, so generally the gaming market right now, everybody's suffering just a little bit, but Nintendo fans have been eating well. You know, at least we can say that. You know, in a bad year, Nintendo always has 4 to 5 games, first party games. In a bad year for PS2 or PS5 or Xbox, it's 0 games. You know, and a whole bunch of third party games. You know. So, Josie, you wanna say something?
I was just gonna say, I can't type and talk at the same time. So here's the thing. One of the things that I guess I don't really worry, if you will, about Nintendo, because typically if they say it's coming, unless we get some other kind of update or something of that nature, it's coming. They're going to keep releasing hardware. They're going to keep... So whether this thing drops next month, later in the year, 10 years from now, it's coming. One way or the other. It's not going to be 10 years from now, y'all. I'm exaggerating. No, but y'all okay? I was just joking. Okay. So it's coming. You know, Metroid's coming. All these games are coming. It's just that everything, it just like Paul was saying, like Mike was saying, it has to cook.
Josie, look, you made Justin nervous.
About what?
About saying 10 years from now.
I'm so sorry. It is not going to be 10 years from now, guys. 10 years from now, we'll probably be on what Switch?
Switch 3.
Switch. Probably mid-cycle of 3.
Yeah.
Paul, don't do it. Don't scare him.
Nintendo said expect Nintendo Switch to be a longer platform than our other ones.
10 years, I'll say. Yeah.
They said a decade. Now nobody took them seriously, meaning, okay, so we're not going to get a sequel successor until March 2027. Yeah, right. But look, now 2024 is actually 7 years. That's a lot closer to 2027 than probably people thought. Most people thought Nintendo typical cycle, we're going to get a successor in November 2022. And then 3 went by. And then 4 is getting along in there. So I don't think it's going to come out in 2027 , folks. So don't rest easy.
And also remember, we've all been through this before because we thought Switch 2 was possibly coming out last year. And what does Nintendo do? They find a way to keep distracting us with fabulous games. Because I don't know if this year's going to be a year for a huge game like Tears of the Kingdom was. We got Pikmin 4 last year as well. Mm-hmm. Also not the biggest game, but still did extremely well for that for that series. So the thing is that, you know, all the Switch 2 stuff kind of took a background, you know, a back seat because we got all these like fabulous games to distract us. So it whatever happens, it's coming. It's going to be great, and then we get to do it like all over again.
Yeah, I know a partner showcase is good, but to be honest, I don't want a partner showcase. I want a direct or a mini. You know why? Because I want that release date for Paper Mario. And I don't want to see that drop on Twitter. I want to see a new trailer, and I want to see what's new about the Paper Mario game, and I want to get that release date. Same thing with Luigi's Mansion, and at least that would say April. I know June. I mean, Luigi's Mansion is stated for summer. When in summer, right? Summer begins when in June, July,
June
August.
22nd.
Right, June 22nd, right? Is that's when it begins? So what's happening before that? We only have one game, Paper Mario. Is that coming in May? What's happening before that? You know what I mean? So
I have an idea what might be coming out in May.
Metro Prime.
Oh yeah.
Y'all want to talk about it? Because I do.
But I keep standing on firm on that. Nintendo really needs to deliver for the second half of the year. I have to emphasize second half of the year, because with the games already announced, Nintendo has already 5 months filled in right? 5 months out of the, let's say, out of the 11 months, because Nintendo normally leaves December as for sale than for the holiday, right?
Well, think about it. Reveal in March, and that'll keep us distracted for a while. Direct in June, drop of Switch to July. Then they got the rest of the year to just distract us with a big game. I think a big Mario, a really big new Mario can do it. A 3D Mario. Of course, we all want Metroid Prime 4, but I see Metroid Prime coming. I believe that we're going to get information about it this year, but as far as really, really getting the hype train going for it, I can see if that doesn't drop until they really have everyone's attention. And the other thing I wanted to point out real quick, I know everybody's like, I want it now, and I want to do this now, and blah blah blah.
I want it now.
I feel you. We hear honey, but here's the other thing. Like, I know we want it now, but have we really thought about why?
Yeah,
I understand why. I mean, and Mike, you had a really good explanation, but I think that you have really good reason.
My explanation was completely selfish. I'll admit it.
No, it's not.
It was completely. Yeah, it was. My explanation was completely selfish. It was like, I want it now. If Nintendo is gonna give us a Nintendo, if they're gonna make us wait, they better cook for us to keep us fed and full. I want that remake for. I haven't played a lot of the Zelda games. I would love to play remakes, not remakes, but ports. Right, Twilight Princess, Wind Waker. I mean, I do have.
Or just put them on NSO.
I do have my Wii U, but to be honest, I don't like the playing on that pad thingy, and I don't like playing on their type of Pro controller. I just don't like. For some reason, I don't like that. I want to either play with this thing here, or play with my Pro controller, or play with my PS5 controller. You know.
So, but here's the thing. If I was working at Nintendo, which I will be one day, my suggestion would be exactly like I said: reveal March, keep us talking, and Nintendo's just constantly on everybody's lips. And then that coupled with the original Switch or Switch OLED, everything's out there on the shelves by holidays. They just go nuts on holidays. You know what I mean? Because if they have that big game, some other really good games, so a little bit of third party, they can make it to Q1 2025, and then they can really, really blow our mind. I think that's a good idea too, but we don't know. But it's coming.
And right now we've all stated our thoughts, based on a 2025 reveal, right? But let's take a look at the other side of the coin now. There was a tweet that really made a lot of sense by Super Metal Gear 64, Metal Gear Solid 64.
No, Mike.
Super Metal
Dave. Super Metal Dave 64.
Super Metal Dave 64. Okay.
And him said what?
So Super Metal Dave 64, which was later retweeted by Andre, and that's when I saw it. That the report came from a Brazilian reporter, right? From in Brazil, and so they saw that in Brazil, the Nintendo Switch released 3 years later than in the US. So it released in 2020, other than our release date here in the States at 2017. And so they brought that up with the assumption that this could possibly be the release time period for them. I made a mistake one time in one of my streams, and I said, hey, this is happening here. This is happening here. Oh no, this game has been delayed for so long, and blah 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 blah. And it's been delayed for winter, and I was looking at the Australian calendar, from Australia. I'm like, oh no, that's the Australian calendar. That wasn't the US calendar, because in Australia summer is winter here, and vice versa, right? It's weird. The calendars are weird, and so we could actually be still getting a Nintendo Switch 2 in 2024, and then in 2025, every other region that gets it a little later then get there. So maybe what that person heard was their region specifically, not for every part of Nintendo. And so even if it's all Nintendo, I don't think it's that far. We're already in February. You know how fast a year goes. I still think 2023 is a new year, and we're at 2024. You know, we're here already. So we would have 8 more months, 10 more months. But yeah, that's the other side of the coin. We could get a Nintendo Switch 2 this year, and that date could have been for that part of the world, right? And for other regions that get it at a later date, because not everybody gets the Nintendo Switch on launch at the later date. I know it works like that with Apple with phones. They launch in one region and then they launch it in every other region like that. You know, by phase. And so, thoughts on that part of the discovery when it comes to Switch 2 before we move on to the next topic.
One other thing I wanted to say.
Yeah.
When we think about 150 million Switch owners, there's people like us, like the fans. We got to see every tweet. We got to see every report, every rumor. We want to know all of those things. Then you have the fans who are diehard fans, but they just don't have time for all that. Okay. So I've told y'all before, I'm a big music fan. I love Janet Jackson, but I don't watch every single Instagram post, every single tweet, everything. But I do pay attention when there's a tour announced. So what I'm thinking also is there's us diehards who also talk about these things every day. And then there's people who are just kind of like, oh, Nintendo tweeted, oh, wait, Switch 2? We're getting another system. This is awesome. Nice. And so they're not just hounding. And I saw a comment in the chat, and this is hilarious. Dash Frame, I don't think Nintendo likes the pressure that comes from content creators and the collective internet as a whole. I realize this is a tinfoil hat theory, though. Honey, Nintendo ain't thinking about us. They are not thinking about us in that respect. They're thinking about us as, how do we get the consumer to part with their money? Let's make really, really great games and we'll make profit. That's all they're thinking about. They don't care that we're just having discussions and what we want. That's not how it works.
And all Nintendo PR cares about is that we keep talking about them, because the more we talk about them, it's free promotion for them. The more we anticipate something, the more, you know, they spend less on promotion because we're there. We're talking about them right now, and so, you know, and then we create anticipation for their games. Like right now, we're talking about Mario versus Donkey Kong today, right? We're promoting that game. Nintendo doesn't have to really, you know, they don't have to do so much because we're there to do it. So,
and the masses are really out there and not online. I'm gonna give you a quick couple of numbers, okay? 140 million Nintendo Switch owners.
Oh, I thought it was 150. I bet.
It will be. But right now, it just hit 140.
Nice.
There are 13.5 million people that follow Nintendo on Twitter. Nowhere near 140. There are 9.4 million people that follow Nintendo on YouTube. YouTube, the home of the Nintendo Directs. Only 9.4 million. Okay. Instagram, only 7.7 million. And Facebook, only 5.4 million. So the vocal minority makes up a lot of chatter, and these are the people that are saying it's not enough, I want more, because they're the folks that are glued in. But the other 85%, which make up the most volume of sales, they're the ones that are happy walking into GameStop and seeing a new game. They're the ones that are happy browsing through the eShop. They're the ones that are making the Nintendo Switch software ratio go up and up and up. It has gone up every single year. It hasn't gone down yet. Have the sales in hardware gone like this? Yes. Have the sales of software gone up like this? Yes. But the ratio of how many systems are sold or how many games are sold has not gone down at all this entire generation, which means the volume of new people buying is high, and the amount of new people and old people collectively buying is higher. And that's an extremely healthy ecosystem, and that's made up of the masses and the hardcore. But you don't hear the masses complain, because they're not. Otherwise, they would be you would have 140 million followers on YouTube, and you'll never have that. It's always going to be the small vocal minority that makes the loudest imprint, and then that's why everybody thinks that way. But
yeah, but you also have to when you talk about social media, you also have to put into perspective that not everybody is a subscriber. So that will know the numbers we see on YouTube or Twitter, 9 million subscribers on YouTube, so much more on Twitter. Those don't normally represent the entire people that watch the Nintendo on YouTube. I have even my channel. I have 45,000 now, but then sometimes I get videos that will into the millions of views. I'm like, I don't have 1 million subscribers. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so we have some videos here with 30 million, 24 million, 19 million, views and stuff like that. And compared to the 9 million there, so that number doesn't necessarily represent the entire number of people.
And then, yeah, that's what I was saying earlier. And then you also have to remember, there are people who are diehard fans, but they're just like, I just want the name of the game and I want the date that it comes out. They want to be completely blind, so they don't even watch directs.
Yeah,
they're just kind of like, I just need the list of what's coming out. I don't want to see anything. I've met several gamers like that. They don't want to know anything, no matter what. They just want to know when it's coming out.
Take it from someone who has kids and friends who have kids, and my kids who have friends that are kids, and someone who has 270 students that are young adults, at university. Not one person I know in the real world, out of all the several hundred people that I know, thanks to the volume of students I have and kids myself too, and their friends and fellow friends of mine, some with kids, some with not. No one's complaining, oh, there's nothing to play on Nintendo Switch. Dude, there's a lot to play. There's a lot that you haven't picked up that if you played it, you would like it. And that goes for first party and third party. There's dozens of first party games on it. I'm going to just go back to the old point. There's so much to be happy with. But it is such an era where, look, back in the day, you knew what you wanted to watch, so you would rent that tape, you'd rent that DVD from the store, you'd watch it. Raise your hand in the chat if these days you're scrolling through Netflix and you spend more time scrolling through what do you want to watch than you do actually watching it. That's freaking true. So you want the Nintendo Direct that has 30 games. Do you even have the money to spend $1,800 and buy these 30 games that would come out in 1 year? Use this backlog. I guarantee you there's some hits that you haven't tried out yet, or diversify and play something that is comparable to that title. But
yeah, the eShop has tools.
Go back on it.
Yeah, the eShop has tools you can use to search for games. Like if you want to search, if you like Mario is a platformer. So you go over to search and then you refine your search and you look for platformers and you might discover all new platformers that you might never play before. They might not be Mario, but they all have their charm. So with that said, talking about games, that's a good segue because we're moving over to Nintendo Direct, right? There's also another roller coaster there when it comes to the Nintendo Direct because we were expecting one to happen within the first or second week of February, just because history tells us that that's what normally happens, with the exception of 2020 because 2020 is 2020. But this time around, we had credible leakers, credible people chime in and say they've heard this, they've heard that. But as we all learn over time, that if there's the one thing that is never consistent is time, right? A date. Then dates can be moved around. And to coincide with this, we had our Xbox presentation, an Xbox podcast that happened where that was also odd because normally an Xbox podcast they last a longer period of time. They go over several topics, but this one was very short and they only covered that main topic that basically they wanted to address the community and tell them, hey, no, we're not going third party, right? We're not going to stop making Xbox systems, and there's only 4 games that are coming to other platforms. That's it. That's it. So all the rumors out there, They're not right. We're bringing 2 games and 2 multiplayer games, and then they're gonna go over all, So the question is, what would have happened if Nintendo would have issued this partner showcase or direct, and let's say 3 of those 4 games appeared on that direct without Xbox explaining that first? I think it would have been a bigger outrage with the community saying, "Oh no, it's true. Xbox is going." Did you know that Xbox stock was going down because of it? People were selling their systems very cheap. People was it was crazy. Like their Xbox Series X, if you wanted one before the podcast, was the time to get it. I saw it as low as $200 on Mercari. $200, and the listing was, "I don't want this piece of trash anymore. It's just a big damn paperweight or a trash can or whatever." People were being so cruel and so horrible to Xbox, calling them the next Sega. Okay, like how Sega just completely went third party and that's it. That I think that's why Microsoft and Nintendo, they have a good relationship. People don't know this, but they do have a really good relationship. If you look at the map over at Washington State, they're kind of across the street. They can walk to each other, right? So I do believe something that Jeff Grubb mentioned, that he basically said, I know nobody wants to hear this, but I heard that Nintendo was being accommodating for Xbox. They moved their Nintendo Direct or Partner Showcase in order to accommodate for this presentation, and so it makes sense because if it were vice versa and the Nintendo Direct would have happened and then we would have seen these first party games on Nintendo Switch, then I think for Xbox fans and for Xbox and Microsoft itself, and maybe for Nintendo, would have gotten some backlash too on top of that, through no fault of their own, So I think it was warrant that Xbox did this presentation in order to kind of appease the fans. And after that, the consoles went from 200 to 500. Now they're selling it. Now they're selling at 500 again on Mercari and on eBay. So that kind of, and then the Twitter feed when we're happy, like, hey, I'm laughing at everybody who sold their console for $200 on eBay, trying to get rid of them because Xbox was going third party. They're not going third party. They are continuing making consoles. They're focused, and they actually hinted at a brand new hardware coming this holiday season. So they went as far as to do that. But that now leads us to the Nintendo Direct that because of this presentation was pushed back, and I believe that Nintendo would do that because it's what's best for business, right? It's what's best for them. And it's not unheard of. It's not unheard of from Nintendo to do something like that for a company that they have a good relationship with. So what if, because of all this, we get the rare replay collection on Nintendo Switch as part of this partner showcase, right? What if Microsoft, with gratitude, because Nintendo did not have to do that. They could have denied, said no, we can't move our thing, but because of that, something else comes, something good comes on top of that, and we benefit from that as Nintendo fans, right? So the consensus is Nintendo is having a Nintendo Direct next week. This was confirmed today by the 100% track record leaker Pioro, that we are getting a partner showcase next week. All right, so that's basically what was said. I personally want a mini or a direct, but partner showcase is what's basically kind of the major consensus of everybody who's reporting and the credible people out there. With that was a summary of everything that happened when it comes to Xbox and the Nintendo Direct. We're having it. I'm not gonna say we're having it. I'm not gonna get in trouble until we'll find out next week. But let's just throw it out to you, Joycey.
Say that last part again.
This is the
you
other.
Cut out a little bit.
We got out of one roller coaster and we jumped into the other one, and we're just So with this partner showcase happening next week, and apparently Nintendo moved it to accommodate the presentation by Xbox. What do you think about this whole fiasco? You know, what do you think? Do you see Nintendo doing this? Do you see Nintendo moving their presentation to accommodate Xbox? Because apparently, maybe there's games that Xbox is bringing to Nintendo Switch, and so, what do you think about the whole fiasco?
I do believe, and from what I've seen over time, what I've read over time, Nintendo and Xbox are like, you know, definitely good buddies.
Yeah.
Definitely little hanky panky going on there. I could see them doing it especially since we are eventually getting Call of Duty, one of the big boys.
Partner showcase, call that for that.
I don't think they'll announce it this quick, but that it doesn't matter. But we know that it's eventually coming. So I could see that. I could see that happening. Yeah, I could, especially if Nintendo's like, hey, you know, we're about to be in a little bit of a drought because we don't know. So this will help also kind of extend a direct. I'm having a discussion with Ren Olin. And he's kind of advising, or not advising. Sorry, I've been at work all day for most of the day. But he's kind of saying, you know, well, Nintendo Directs are kind of irrelevant. And I'm like, after this dumpster fire of a week we've had, you know, and then the insanity is still kind of going because now we think that there's going to be something next week. This is the best way that Nintendo so far has decided to talk to their fans about what's going on. They've done the big Twitter drops before. The year, I believe, that E3 was canceled, it was 2020, right? That year. When they just all, like, when they would usually have the E3 presentation, they just dropped all Twitter drops. Because of was that 2020, Paul?
That was the first E3 that canceled.
Okay, it was first
that summer. They showed off Paper Mario Color Splash, and then that game came out like 2 months later.
Yeah, so they've done this before. Everybody still wants a direct, and so the thing is, and also from what I personally see, Nintendo likes to go last. So we had our State of Play. Then we already had a bunch of. Didn't we have like another Xbox?
Yeah, we did.
Announcement.
We had
and
the
then
Xbox
and then we had all the Xbox craziness this week. Nintendo like, nah, we want all, even though they're constantly trending every time I go on Twitter, which is at least once or twice a day, always trending. They're like, we want all the eyes on us. And I think directs also are kind of, and this is no shade to anything, because I think all games are great. All games deserve to be here. But I think they kind of save that for when they have a lot of heavy hitters or heavier hitters. So they think that we have some good third party that we think our fans are going to be really interested in. We have a couple of ports we think our fans are going to be interested in. We have some indies, you know, this is what our fans want. Some of these other things, or if they don't fit in a partner showcase or a direct in the amount of time, we're going to go ahead and Twitter drop it. Yeah. That's just what I think.
Yeah. And I like that you mentioned Call of Duty because there was a Call of Duty that released on Nintendo Wii U.
Yes.
And that's a perfect port that could fall into this partner showcase to at least bring Call of Duty to the Switch, right? As part of their 10-year plan.
That's definitely Switch too.
Yeah.
Call of Duty.
They did sign that. I'm not sure. Only Nintendo and Microsoft knows when they should expect the first Call of Duty to drop. But we know we're getting it. It's a done deal. But it'll be cool.
Call of Duty drops or they start revealing it like in fall.
Yeah, but it will be cool. It will be cool if they ported the one from Wii U, since it will do a lot better on Nintendo Switch, on Switch. So the Call of Duty has
give us new stuff. No, we just do new stuff. Port the old and give us a glimpse of the new.
Same thing with Zelda. But
you have to understand. No. There's a complete difference, Mike. Zelda is. One sec, Paul. Zelda is Nintendo.
Yeah, I know.
Call of Duty is not Nintendo. So we
Call of Duty
want more
port.
ports of our own first party, but we're okay one way or the
I
other.
personally want a Call of Duty port. Like, if
You don't
that
want no new stuff? Okay.
I do want new stuff, but I'm saying that while we wait for Switch to Call of Duty, it will be nice if that Call of Duty that was on Wii U could come over to the Switch and have a new life, have new breath, and to kind of expand more in preparation
That is fair.
for the new Call of Duty, right?
That is fair.
Yeah.
If Call of
Gentlemen,
Duty,
I'll be right back. I will be
Right.
back.
Go ahead, Paul.
if Call of Duty Black Ops 2 and Call of Duty Ghosts, the two games that came out on Wii U, were exclusive to Wii U, I think that they would make a very good point as to why they should come to Nintendo Switch, because they're lost on the system. But when they came out on Wii U, they were also out on the PlayStation 3 and the Xbox 360, two systems with a combined install base of 190 million, almost 185 million, whatever. So nobody who really wanted to play that game, either of those games, missed out, because a lot of people had an Xbox 360 or PS3. So those games have been available to play for, over a decade.
Yeah.
Now, do there exist some people who have only purchased a Nintendo system per generation, somehow skipped Wii U, and have a Nintendo Switch that are really longing for those two Call of Duties? Possibly. But I don't know if it's their interest to spend the finances to bring them over. But if it's not too expensive, I can see them doing it for the heck of it, and maybe succeed. Hard to say.
I'm one of them. I didn't get the Wii U while it was hot off the press. I got the Wii U when the Switch was out. I got just to have it, to experience what it was before the eShop closed and all that stuff.
You skipped Wii U generation?
I did, yeah. I did.
So after a Wii came out, you got a Wii in 2006?
I got a Wii, yeah. I got the Wii, and I got the GameCube, and I got everything 64, and I got the SNES. Every system but the Wii.
So 11 years later, you hopped into the next Nintendo hardware, which was Switch, and then a little bit after you got Wii U.
Yeah. So, I skipped. It was like 5 years for the Wii U that it was on the market.
Wii U came out in November 2012, and then 4 years 13, and 4 months later, Nintendo Switch.
Oh yeah, so it was 5 years. It was a short one for Wii U. I skipped Wii U. I was still enjoying my Wii like crazy. For the longest time, I saw the Wii U and the Wii like the same thing. I didn't care about the pad, and we were having fun with it. So now we have a question here. Boo Mini with the super chat of $10. Thank you so much, Boo Mini. We have a if you guys want to get your question in, or your suggestion, or be part of the podcast while we're in it and not wait till the end, you can also do a super chat here, and we can go ahead and read it right away. So what are you? This is a really important question here, because I'm pretty sure we've all gone through it. What are each of your experiences with people who are judging of adults who play video games? How do you respond in those conversations? ESP, when it's family or friends? Interesting. Well, in my okay, so first, this is what I think about those people. I don't think lowly of them at all. I just think that it's sad because they probably missed out on a lot of childhood of fun when it comes to video games, and somebody told them that video games couldn't be enjoyed as adults, so they were forced to give out part of them, and just, what I mean? Without video games, I see a video game as just like I'm watching a movie. Movies entertainment, video games are entertainment. There are a way of escaping the real world, taking a little break, and that's what video games are. If you find yourself with a family or friends who are kind of talking to you like that, and you can say, "Why do you watch movies?" "Oh, I watch movies because they're entertaining." Well, that's why I play video games, because they are entertainment. They're a form for me to escape into a different world and to have fun. And it's a hobby that I have that I enjoy very much doing. Just like a painter likes to paint, just like a movie buff likes to watch movies. A Star Wars fanatic who knows the entire lore of Star Wars you know, you know, same thing with Tears of the Kingdom. You know, the genre itself is just another form of entertainment that we have nowadays to escape and to have fun. And not only that, but it brings families together of all ages. It brings people together from all ages, backgrounds, and ethnicities. Right? Doesn't matter who you are, where you come from. A Mario is a Mario. You can multiplayer Splatoon. How many people are in Splatoon playing online? It brings people together, you know. And so, I would say for those outside the family, I'm like, you don't play video games? Oh man, that's so sad. I wish I will actually I recommend it because it's actually really a good way to kind of escape from your daily trials and tribulations and do something fun for a chance, you know. So yeah,
I got a good answer for that.
Yeah, go ahead.
I got a couple of them. Answer number one: I'm grown. I do what I want. That's answer number one. The reason behind Paul's looking at me like, "Good Lord, Joyce." But exactly with the snaps and the neck roll. But here's the reason why I have that answer. One of the privileges of getting older is you understand. The older you get, the more you understand people, the more you understand yourself. When we were we remember when we were teenagers, you just want to have fun all the time. You just want to go out all the time. You just, you don't want to go to work. You don't want to be responsible. You don't want to clean your room. You don't want to do any of that. You want to go have fun. As an adult, we understand the benefits of working. We understand the benefits of having a clean room. But also we know the benefits of having fun. So we know how to have that balance. So I feel like adult hobbies are basically you're teenaging responsibly now. We finally get to do that. I always joke about my parents and how they took so long to retire. I begged my mom for years to retire. My mother's a woman of a certain age. I'm not going to say how old in case she comes across this. But I told her, I said, Mama, you only got this one life. I know you love to work. And she did. She truly enjoyed her career. I said, but Mama, it's time to go on cruises. It's time to go on vacations and visit, see the world, just go see the country. It's time for that. So I said, now you get to all the things that you couldn't do because you were raising me or because of work and all these things, you get to do all these things. So that's how I feel. I feel that gaming is a privilege. It is a hobby. It's my hobby of choice. And I was one of those people who I guess was for lack of a better word, a victim. I don't like that word, but for lack of a better one, of that mentality of, oh, lost both my boys here.
No, anyway, you're fine. That's
okay,
fine.
You guys are still there. Okay. But I was one of those people who listened to others when they said, oh, you can't play games anymore. You're too old for that. I had a friend tell me once, well, no guy's going to want to date you if you're just playing video games. So I stopped for years. And it was a Twilight Princess commercial on Wii that I was like, I used to love Zelda. Why did I stop playing? And then I found somebody playing it online, and I was like, dude, I've got to play this game. I haven't played a Zelda game in years. So I went out and literally bought a Wii, bought Twilight Princess that day. I've been gaming again ever since. So I don't agree with, because then another way you can kind of combat those kind of questions is, well, why do you like to go hiking all the time? Why do you read books? Why do you do the hobby that you do? Yep. You can kind of combat it that way, because I feel it's an unfair question. It's a very normal hobby. Plenty of people do it. Move on.
Yeah, you can put it in a way, and you can, if it's family or close friends, you can put it in a way like that. It's the same reason you watch movies.
Be a little nicer if it's family and friends. Guys.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Same
but if it's a stranger,
movies, please get out of here. Never give up. Peace. And Paul, you want to win?
I've only ever had a couple of people of pretty much no consequence say, oh, why are you playing that? Or don't you do a little bit too much of that? Some of that was maybe in my late teens, early 20s. But nobody in my circle, so all my friends like games, and they either are comparably passionate, probably a little less, because I'm kind of pretty high up there in it, or they are kind of video game adjacent, where they just do a little bit, but are kind of aware enough about it. So fortunately, the circle that I'm in, nobody's condescending, nobody says too much. maybe in the grand total of life, couple of people have ever, said something small. And honestly, video games for me have been the perfect escape from anything ever was tough, like bullying in school.
Yeah.
A great avenue to hop into and appreciate the industry and the art that goes behind people's hard works, and looking at that credits and seeing how many different jobs are possible in this world. Befriending the folks that have been a part of it is also, and making lifelong friends, like Charles Martinet as a good example. And from video games, that medium, I get to read long stories that you would get from books. I get to listen to beautiful music that you would normally get separately. I also get to be in control of the character, which is something unique that video games have. I get action that's associated with comics, and I get cinematic storytelling that's associated with movies. I get to have episodic kind of characters that have multiple roles over the generations, like TV shows via Mario or something that has long going. I have inspiration from video games because even though I've been a martial artist for 36 years, and that has been for multiple reasons, one of the very powerful reasons has been Street Fighter. That has been a constant motivator in my real life curriculum of competing and training, and then now teaching others. So you draw lots of inspirations from video games. At the end of the day, you're spending your money on video games at any point in your life. It's not money not being spent on drugs, alcohol, and tobacco, and things that would be far worse. So if anybody is younger and being condescended upon about wasting money on games, it's a relatively safe medium that is not going to hurt you or hurt others. So let the person be you. Maybe you don't understand it. That's fine. You could come from a different generation, but everyone, like the two of you have already mentioned, as that's something that they're a fan of. Now, you could be too into something, and that's kind of one of those things, like, try to find happiness in everywhere else. No Nintendo Direct this week shouldn't make your week miserable, because you should also be looking forward to the Deadpool and Wolverine trailer that came out. You should also have fun with the new Godzilla Kong New Horizons, or the sequel film. Like, that trailer should have been wow, that was cool in the middle of the week to get. So diversify. But if anybody ever nowadays said it, like, don't you play games a lot? You're 40 years old and you're wearing video game shirts. It's like, it doesn't obsess my life. Despite it seeming like I'm obsessed with it, I love it very much. But I get my bills done, my house stuff done, my chores, my pool, my grass, homework with the kids, successfully teaching students various martial arts and empowering people and training and exercising, keeping myself in shape. I'm doing just fine. You can too. You learn how to manage things. And as long as you're learning how to manage things a little bit more and more, you have to grow up with everything in life. Never just everything, boom, drops at once. You have to slowly build up to it. And that management is slowly built up, just like your math skills, just like your writing skills, just like I could handle hobbies and gaming and cleaning my room, and then eventually hobbies and gaming and cleaning a house. You have to grow up with it.
And you're raising a family too.
Doing what you love doing.
Exactly. Yeah. Basically, everything is in moderation when it comes to, have a balanced life when it comes to family time, your time for games, your time for movies, your time for school, for work, whatever you do. For us content creators, it seems like we're always involved because basically that's our job, right? For some of us, it's our job. For some of us, it's our part-time. For some of us, it might be the only way you see us, right? Because you normally don't see us on a day-to-day basis. You don't see us with our kids or families or work. And so it could look like we're always in the video game world because we are that world to you, right? We are that outlet that you chose to hear about video games, and so I'm super thankful for it. But when it comes to that, it's like Paul said, make sure you have a well-balanced life and you're dedicating time to each thing, and then
And think about it like this also.
in life, loved ones, your first thing, do your dreams, and your loved ones are the most important things, right? So follow your dreams, go to school, get good grades, and do your best.
And think about it like this: if you do like to hike, you can take your Switch with you.
You're right. You're right. That was a really good question. Really good question. Really good.
I love that question.
Yeah, it was like a how the race cars, they have to stop for a minute and to kind of get their wheels changed, and then they continue the race.
The pit stops, I think.
Yeah,
is it pit stop?
Is it called pit stop?
I should know this. I'm in Texas.
I don't know. I don't ride cars. If I ride a car, I probably crash in a tree or something. But so the little pit stop here, good. Like a check, and then continue. But that was a good question. Thank you so much for the super chat and for that awesome question as well. I think that benefited the entire community, because I'm pretty sure there's other people there who actually kind of go through that. So appreciate that. All right, so now Nintendo Direct. They said partner showcase, right? Pyoro. It's hard to argue with Pyoro, to go against Pyoro. I want to so bad, but I can't, because the person has 100% track record. What can you do with that? It's not even a leak anymore. It's a spoiler. And so next week we are expecting that Nintendo Direct, right?
Partner showcase.
Partner showcase.
I'm excited.
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited too, because I love the unknown.
Just more games.
Yeah, there's more games. I hope they do. I hope they do bring banger games. Good games. I hope it's not just a lot of let's say a lot of farming games, or a lot of simulators, or a lot of this, a lot of that, or a lot of little small developers. Although they need their time to shine, and I support indie devs with everything. I hope they have a good variety. Go ahead.
So Mario, like a game like Mario Rabbids, which was fabulous. I haven't played part 2 yet, but
yeah, that was amazing. It's partner because it's Ubisoft.
Right. So now, correct me if I'm wrong. If another studio works on an upgrade or a remaster or whatever, or port of another game, is it possible that it shows up in the partner showcase?
No. Yeah. Let's say
no?
if they work on for example, was it Grezzo that did Link's Awakening?
Yes.
So that wouldn't show up in a partner showcase, because even though Nintendo worked with that third party developer to remake that game, that's still considered a first party.
Okay.
For Nintendo. Yeah.
But we could get, dare I say it, y'all? I'm gonna say it. I said it earlier in the chat. What if we get another Hyrule Warriors, and we can finally see the imprisoning war for the 6th time?
Nintendo makes their own rules.
Yeah, you're right.
The partner showcase doesn't mean they can't have anything else. The likelihood goes down, but doesn't mean if they have secretly Platinum Games working on a new Star Fox, which I don't think is the case. I think it's going to be developed internally, but that's speculation. Doesn't mean that they can't.
Yeah, but Star Fox is a first party game.
But if Platinum Games made it and it was a third party.
But if it's being made by something else, because Zelda is a first party, Mario's a first party.
Yeah,
but when they make it into a Warriors game, or they make it into a Rabbids game, that's what makes it into a partner.
Yeah, because the Warriors franchise doesn't belong to Nintendo; it belongs to somebody else, and they just
Koei Tecmo. I'm getting that name wrong, y'all.
Koei Tecmo.
I won't even get it.
Koei Tecmo. See, listen to Cousin Paul. He knows all these people.
Third party. Let's go over to the right now we have 117 votes, 118 votes, and Team 2024 for Switch 2 is actually have 62%, and Team 2025 has 38%. So yeah, I mean, Team 2024 is winning, but there is a lot of people out there that are okay with Team 2025, and which is it's not bad. I personally believe that Nintendo has to hit out the park. We have to get a lot of games that are good to kind of fill in the year. Financially speaking, we do have to have a good year for Nintendo. They don't want to have a little dip, right? And I know we have to be content with what we have and kind of look further and expand our horizons when it comes to games. But financially, Nintendo has to kind of maintain. They don't want to fall off the cliff. So I don't think Nintendo is gonna wait too long for that switch to. I still think it's 2024. I don't know about the April thing. The trailer for March. I understand why they would do it if they want to be present at the developers conference, because that'll give them the ability to speak freely without worrying about any information leaking out there from them. This developer conference is very crucial for Nintendo. They want to be there. They're going to be there. Basically, they're going to be there. They're going to talk to developers, and so in the beginning of the life of the Nintendo Switch 2, they want to set themselves up for success and make sure that developers understand what they're getting. It's not another Switch. It's a more powerful console, and developers need to see what kind of power they're working with in order to bring their games and ports to the Nintendo Switch 2. So I understand why the Switch 2 trailer could launch next month. But I'm fully on board with hearing something about Switch 2 at least in April, because I know that that's already the next fiscal year for Nintendo. That's already the beginning of the fiscal year, ending, the beginning of the fiscal year in April. So any last thoughts for everybody in regards to that? Let's say let's keep the 2024 date in mind when it comes to reveal, event, release. That's normally how it goes. When do you guys see reveal, event, release?
When do we see it? In our opinion, you mean?
Yeah, in your opinion, yeah.
Oh, I'm going by with what I said earlier. Reveal, cute little 1 minute, 2 minute trailer. Yeah. And then of course we're going to be looking at all the specs and all the little games are not little, but all the games are probably going to show off. I think, even though it seems kind of fast, I think anytime in summer would be a good time for launch.
Yeah.
And then we got all fall and winter to just go ham with games.
You actually brought something up here. They can't reveal the game, the Switch, if they're not going to release it this year. If it's 2025,
that early, no.
I don't think they can even reveal it in November or in the summer, because that'll hurt the holiday season sales for Nintendo. So
that's what I'm saying. I believe a reveal would be earlier, but the launch has to come this year. So both are out of the market.
So if it's reveal, if we see a reveal this year, even if it's a trailer, then we know it's coming this year. What do you think, Paul?
Nintendo got away with announcing Nintendo Switch in October because Wii U was out.
It's dead.
So
yeah, it was already.
Wii U wasn't going to sell another million during the holidays anyways. Luckily, to sell another couple 100,000 during that holiday 2016 frame. So that was okay. This is a very healthy system. I highly doubt they would show off Nintendo Switch in June, July, August, September, or October, and then be like, oh yeah, by the way, Nintendo Switch 2, it's coming out like next March. No.
Yeah.
If it gets shown off in March or June, it's coming out like between August and November.
Yeah. So I agree. I think we're all in agreement. If we get a reveal this year, it's this year that's coming in, all the way to November. I'll go with Joycey. I'll put the release date in June, in the summer, just because
anytime in summer.
Yeah, it'll give it enough time to kind of to talk about the games, right? The games, kind of push those games, because at the end, in the holiday season, those games are going to push the console, and we'll be able to, push sales. And with that, my friends, do you guys want to take? We have about 3 minutes in the podcast. You guys want to take some questions in the chat from our amazing people that are here?
Did you see your last note on our notes?
I do.
Our topic note.
We have the last note, and oh yes, we do have a last note here. We have is it the Joycey rant?
Yes, it's my rant.
You want to go with the Joycey rant? Let's do it.
This might give y'all some time to also think of some questions.
Okay. All right. So, without further ado, guys,
let me sit up.
Queen here. The Queen is going to take the mic, and she has some things to say. While she talks, go ahead and put your question in the chat. And then I'll and Paul and I will keep an eye on the questions, and then we can kind of highlight the questions and then answer them at the end of the podcast. Okay. All right.
And I know I said rant, but I'm actually not going to make this too long. I'm going to try not to. Oh, and Paul will be right back. This week was, first of all, how y'all doing? Y'all look good. Y'all look real good tonight.
I'll be listening.
Go for it, Paul. Paul got a family, y'all, and I think cousin Miyamoto's over. This week was a dumpster fire on social media for gaming. There were several times I was like, why am I on Twitter? I'm making myself upset. So many console wars, and it bugs me because a lot of these people are adults that I saw. My age, Mike's age. Guys, if you're you get to be whoever you want to be on the internet. Doesn't matter who. Nobody knows who you are. Choose to be kind. Nobody promised us a direct. Nobody promised us new hardware. Nintendo has said literally, what does Nintendo promise? Princess Peach, a new Princess Peach game. They said Thousand Year Door's coming, a port of that. Those are the things they promised us. We know Metroid Prime 4 is eventually coming. Yep. But I saw so much vitriol thrown at all my favorite guys, which you guys know, of course, are Mike, Paul. Not Paul as much, but Mike, I saw you get some. Saw it thrown at Andres and saw it thrown at Nate. We don't have to do that.
What did I get? Who threw what at me?
Vitriol. Oh, I'm sorry.
Who threw what at me? I'm kidding. I don't know. I'm glad. I'm happy that I'm legally blind because I don't get to see all the stuff. I can just go, what?
But there, and also the other thing is, guys, when you read these things in the grand scheme of things, gaming is really not all that serious in the very large grand scheme of the world. It's not all that serious. We're going to be fine if gaming disappears tomorrow. We're going to be fine when it doesn't. It was just a lot of really scary things. Nintendo fans going at Sony fans, Sony fans going at everybody, Xbox. It was a total madhouse over the week, and it made me extremely sad because I said, this is my happy place. I like coming and talking about games after a long day of work and a long day of appointments and meetings and all the things, the responsible things I have to do. Now I get to play inner teenager, if you will. So just think about it. I know nobody from the Odyssey community is doing these things, but it's so easy to want to get kind of caught up and put somebody in their place and say, how dare you say that about my favorite gaming system, my favorite company. PlayStation is about to drop so much hot fire next year. I hope y'all saving your money. Xbox just promised us, hey, we're not giving up. We're, new console, more games. Yes, Nintendo is always cooking up something. We as gamers, we're winning. We are absolutely winning. There's nothing to be angry about. There's nothing to go at each other about. I want the big three to completely, fully succeed at all times. The more they succeed, the more innovation, the more games, the more they succeed, the more we win. And this isn't defense of billion-dollar companies. I got a DM about how I'm a shill for a billion-dollar company. No, I'm a shill for people who want to work and work hard and who get to work on something that they're extremely passionate about. I think it's great. So I'm for those people who need their little, $90,000 check a year, if you will. So we're not defending big corporations and everything. We're praising the people that make the corporations. So just something to think about. If you can just be anybody online, just choose to be kind. Make a happy space for gaming.
I like that. I like that outlook because even when you look at Nintendo from a step back, you see a huge major corporation, but if you take a closer look, you see individuals who are just working their day-to-day lives.
We've all worked for major corporations. I know I still work for one, and so does Mike. Paul works for a university.
Yeah. All right, Master Detective J2. By the way, I love that name, and even more the little icon picture here.
It gives me Phoenix Wright vibes. I want another Phoenix Wright game, which could possibly show up. I don't know if there's one in the making. I'm just saying.
I think Joyce knows somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody.
I wish I knew somebody because I love Phoenix Wright. That's a great series.
Thank you for that $5 super chat. It says if 2024 teaser in March, full reveal in June, release in September 2025. Teaser in June, full reveal in October, March. full reveal in October or March. Or March?
I think he's saying it like if
He's saying if it's revealed in
2025,
October,
Ah,
it'll
okay,
launch
okay,
in March.
okay. Oh, if it's in 2025, teaser in June, full reveal in October and March. Okay. So if it's in 2025, a reveal this June, then event in October, and then launch in March. Is that what you're saying, right?
Mhm.
2025. And then if it's 2024, March, June, and September. I like that one better. I like 2024 better.
I like
The
the
teaser in March, the full reveal event in June, and the September. That makes sense, right? That makes sense to me. September looks like
I just don't know how that would interfere with their holiday sales if they're like, we got something coming out in March, but we're gonna let the holiday go by, because the whole thing that I think we've all kind of hung on to a lot is Furukawa saying that they don't want to fall off the cliff. And if I were a parent, I would say you're getting your Christmas present in March.
Yeah, right. So yeah, that's why I'm in with the first one. If it's in 2024, the teaser will be next month in March, then the reveal in June, and September will be the launch for the system, and then it'll make it ready for the holiday season. So yeah,
that's what I think.
Yeah, so a summer release.
That makes sense.
What do you think, Paul?
I like that. I mean, that's fun. That would be a really nice lineup. I don't think a little teaser in March would hurt too much, because you're looking at still kind of a 5.5 month gap. I mean, let's say late March and early September, that's not quite a full 6 months, because I don't think they go more than 154-ish days.
Yeah.
Personally. And that's kind of like tipping the scales at that 5 month mark. But let's say they go a little bit more. Between June and September is not bad.
Yeah.
That's actually pretty tight. So that little March, just to give people a little bit of an extra oomph for the hardcore, for these several million that are really looking forward to it.
It'll keep us talking.
Keep you talking without doing too much damage by having any longer than 5 months, 6 months of a lead up, because sales will go down. Unless if you counteract with hardware price drop.
There we go. That's exactly what I was gonna add to that.
Do y'all think the price is gonna drop?
I do believe it's gonna drop. It has to drop.
I think when they show that system for the first time, or when they have that system's price, or the new system's release date for the first time.
Okay.
That day we get the price drop on one of the two. Definitely for the later one. For the second one that I said.
Yeah.
Can I propose something to y'all? Huh?
Go ahead. Yeah.
And I was like, let me propose something. So the reason I have the theory of reveal March, maybe, reveal basically launch before holidays. Let's just put that. Yeah. And so here's the thing. If we get, I don't see them going this high, but it's very, very possible. Let's say new Switch is $425. Right?
It's possible.
And it's and it's shiny, pretty, and it does all the extra things and that we want it to do. But it's sitting on a shelf right next to, how much was the OLED?
$349.
$349?
Yeah.
It's right next to the OLED. If you're
at a lower price?
Yeah, no, at the same price. But it's sitting next to the shiny new Switch, which is like 400 and let's say 425.
Well, it depends because
Nintendo... mentally, if I saw that, I would say, oh, well, the new one's only this much higher than this old one, and it does all these extra things. Okay, I'm getting little Junior this. Or I don't have enough money. That's too much. That's $400 for a game system is ridiculous. Yeah. I'm not paying that. So I'll take the OLED.
Yeah. But I think
I wonder if they could get away with that.
There definitely needs to be a price reduction to the Nintendo Switch OLED when the Switch 2, at least at the event, when Paul said at least, I think for sure when they say, okay, the new Nintendo Switch is $399, $400, then the OLED should come down to at least $299 or $249, right? I think the base model should just go away because Bye. And then the Nintendo Switch Lite could stay around because it's still a portable, like a little portable version. And that one should be like $149. from the $199, right? And so at least that price reduction. But yeah, I also see the price reduction happening as soon as the reveal of the Switch, because that way it'll actually give it a little boost in sales for that Switch, you know. And even more if in that Switch reveal they show some Nintendo Switch games actually playing on the Switch too during the reveal, you know. So that'll confirm backwards compatibility. People feel safer about investing in that lower priced Nintendo Switch and still buying games, knowing that the backwards compatibility is there, and it's more, people feel more secure about that. Because I still don't know whether backwards compatibility is a thing. Nintendo has not said a thing, and until they say they actually say it, it's not confirmed, you know.
Paul, what do you think? Do you think that could work? So Mike and I have two different points of view. What do you think?
I think they have to be careful, wise with how many different Nintendo Switch units they have on the market in total, not to confuse people with the options. Yeah. Clearly show what's the difference between a Nintendo Switch 2, because that's the one that you want to sell, but also have a decent enough of a price gap that you're still making a profit margin successfully off of your old hardware, but it's enticing enough for the family that doesn't need the cutting edge to get it. So do you have 4 things at once? You know, a Nintendo Switch 2 at $400, and then the OLED model at $300, and then, you know, a $225 base model and a $150 Lite. That's a lot of different things on the market. Yeah. Also, retail outlets don't typically have a whole lot of shelf space. That's valuable, you know, retail space. Online's a little bit different, but you want to have what's selling big on the store floor. So like what Mike said, do you take out the old Switch then and you have Lite, OLED, and, you know, NS2? It's a possibility. I don't know. I think they could make it work with 4. Or
they would actually, or they would eliminate the entire Switch lineup and give us a new Nintendo Switch, like you mentioned before, a new model that is still a Nintendo Switch. Could be a little smaller. It could have the ability to dock as well, just so that you have that, you don't lose that, and then sell at a lower price, still maintaining the newness of it. You know, people are like, okay, that's at least that's a newer version of the Switch with more battery life, maybe a little better screen on it, something, you know, to kind of keep the Switch there for a couple more years, right? And then, you know, have the Switch 2 with it, because like you said, it could be a 10. I believe the Switch is a 10-year system when it comes to games, you know. And the Wii U just got their eShop shut down the other day, almost towards the end of this Nintendo Switch life. So you can expect this eShop, with what Miyamoto said, that since the Nintendo Switch, from Nintendo Switch moving forward, it's easier to develop games and bring them forward just because of the system that they're using. You know, you can compare with Microsoft, right? Microsoft Windows runs Xbox, right? So Microsoft Windows runs Xbox. That's why they can go backwards compatible to the very first Xbox, because they haven't changed their platform. It's still Microsoft Windows that runs the Xbox platforms. And so Nintendo with the Switch found their very own Microsoft Windows that they can continue to bring to the next system and improve upon that, right? That together with AI upscaling, which is supercomputer that keeps up learning, you know, and the DLSS and all that stuff. I think the next Switch will actually be a 10-year full year, and we won't see anything until 10 years later with that technology added to that system. And, you know, and not to mention the every 2 or 3 years when they give you like a better version, like we had the OLED, you know. So
I don't know if it'll happen before. Possibly. I don't think so, though. But I think it will happen after Nintendo Switch 2 is out. We will see one final Nintendo Switch model.
Okay.
Not a guarantee, but I think
the mini
will enter a cheaper demographic, and we'll probably lose the Lite or something like that and have a rebranded Nintendo Switch Micro, and it might have fewer features, but it'll have fewer features that cut the costs of some of the manufacturing, so they can also sell it cheaper and still have a profit margin and penetrate that market that, the families with 2-year-olds now that don't need a system. In 3 years from now, they'll be 5, but they won't need a $400 Nintendo Switch as a 5-year-old. But they'll be okay with an $80 little platform that gets them into the gaming ecosystem. And that's where you reach a different demographic. Look, there's 2 billion people on the planet and only 140 million Nintendo Switch owners. There's a lot of untapped potential. You're never going to sell a product to everyone, especially not something that is a convenience, a luxury. A smartphone has a great chance of penetrating truly hundreds of millions of people just per smartphone. But collectively, you're going into the billions of category, territory. Yeah. But that's one of the reasons why, and I might not be the only one, but I'm the first that I know of that has consistently said for the last several years, if a system can make a 210 million imprint, it's Nintendo Switch. Because I looked at how they converted their hardware and software philosophies together, their home console and portable console divisions together, how they've worked with third parties and indies better than ever before, and their pricing structure and lack of a price drop, and how they've continuously kept the system relevant, because even in software, sometimes people see a price reduction on software and they think it's inferior. Nintendo has kept their prices up, meaning, dang, Nintendo games hold their value. This is still $60 5 years later, and that's power, that's strength. Reducing price is a sign of weakness because you're not selling anymore, so you have to do something else. So they've established themselves as a pretty strong brand, better than any other generation, because they've always had price drops along the way in both hardware and software. But when you do that, don't make it look like a move that you have to do. Make it look like a move that's really pro-consumer. And then you'll find a new audience that, dang, as long as the Nintendo Switch is still being played, and check it out. Of the 140 million people that own one, there are 122 million active users last year. That's a tremendously powerful base. And look, even if Nintendo Switch 2 comes out, Nintendo's only going to be able to pump out 4 or 5 million at launch. They're only going to be able to have 10 million in the first 9 months or so, or 6 months. They would like to have more. So the majority of people that are around the world that have one are not going to be able to get one for years. It's going to take years to fill in. Look, it took 7 years to fill 140 million. So it's going to take another 7 years for even everybody who wants one, that really wants one. You're not getting one for another 6 years. Some of us will get one early on. So as long as they keep that ecosystem healthy for the masses that can't get a successor yet, more people will continue to buy one that skipped out on it in the last few years, because now their families are older. Now the price has gotten lower, and the communication is still, that's not yesterday's news. No, it's still cool. It's still good because we're playing it, because we can't buy the new one yet because they don't have it until it comes out. I'm excited. I've been following this industry and covering this industry for a long time, so I have lots of different approaches to how I feel about Nintendo going forward. And whatever they do, folks, it's going to be fine. We are yet to experience peak Nintendo. This is peak Nintendo now, but it truly looks like they're only going to get better.
Oh, I mean, peak Nintendo is going to be crazy, because not only in video games, but movies and theme parks altogether, Nintendo is just literally putting their footprint on the earth, and we're going to feel it in a big way. And and I've always said this in the channel. Listen, we are in a transition year, and we are in the most exciting time to be a Nintendo fan, because the next is coming. The next is, even if it's this year or 2025, first 3 months, it's coming. The next Mario game that you've been expecting is on its way. That next Splatoon, it's on its way. That next Animal Crossing, it's in development right now. There's so many IPs that are currently in development for you that, that anticipation before waiting. All we got to do, if we have to wait a little more, like Carl said, enjoy, go into the eShop, enjoy what we have now. Search for games that you haven't played before. There is a tool that you can set by platform. You want platformers, you want shooters, you want puzzle games, you can actually search individually for whatever games you like to play, and then discover. Nintendo is a huge platform with 140 million units sold now, which is awesome. That's a good update. It's gonna surpass PS2 and DS at the end, because I think that even though Switch 2 will be out, even though with Switch 2 out, Nintendo Switch could still sell for 2 more years. And depending on how they go about it, right? Because believe it or not, this is a good NSO machine, right? NSO is still a thing. Nintendo's not going to remove NSO completely and just shut it down. NSO moves on from Switch to Switch 2. It's the same platform. You're just accessing it in a different device. So when it comes to all the games that you already have on Switch plus NSO, I'm gonna keep my Switch. Once in price drops, I'm gonna buy myself at least 1 or 2 more. Keep them.
Then I might get the Mario one.
Yeah, the Mario, exactly,
because it's red. I love red.
Yeah, and so yeah, go ahead.
No. Finish your thought, because I'm gonna take us in a different direction real quick. Are you good? Okay. Yeah. I wanted to highlight this comment, and Mike, I still don't know how to work things behind the scenes, so it was Sean Starlight. He had said, "Oh crap, I just had it."
Is that about
he was saying, I also there's a few things that he said that I want to comment on. I also want Nintendo to take their sweet time, but I know the majority are very impatient and want it to come out in the year 2024. And then he also said, I hope games don't start to cost $80, because I don't like that games nowadays cost $70 and $80. They're too expensive. What happened? The gaming companies are becoming greedy. So I enjoy that comment, because I see that a lot, and I think it's a misconception. So here's the thing. We only officially know, because rumors don't count as knowledge. They're just fun speculative things to speculate on. We only know officially what Nintendo tells us. They're always working on hardware. Before the Switch came out, they were already working on Switch 2. There's a Switch 3 post-it note somewhere in the Nintendo office. They're thinking long game. Any businesses like this, they're always thinking long game. So it's really not a thing of they're rushing at this point. I think Switch is really, really, really just giving us banger after banger after banger. Yeah. It has been, we are completely spoiled. I have a backlog. It's beautiful. So they're not rushing anything. So this is definitely not crunch time for them. And I love the fact that they don't really have crunch. The other thing is, there is a misconception that gaming companies are greedy. First of all, I don't care what company it is. Anybody that is trying to buy and sell with you is greedy. However, think of it like this. Tears of the Kingdom cost $70. I think it was Nintendo's most expensive game for Switch. You would have paid probably about $70 to $80 anyway. Initial game is about $60. DLC would have been $20, $25, right? We got 3 completely different levels. We got a full-fledged story, full-fledged cutscenes, full-fledged animation, full-fledged everything, and a completely different crazy mechanic. That's just Tears of the Kingdom. I'm not even counting all the other games that are out there. So you got to think about what goes into that. That's when Paul was talking about the end credits of games. It's massive, and these are just people that worked on the games. These aren't even the people that are in customer service, the people that are in the mail room, the people that are in accounting and marketing and all those things that aren't directly working on the game. So basically, think of it like this: you are appreciating somebody's hard work by paying for their product. And you are letting them know, I appreciate your product. I'm going to enjoy this product, and we're going to have a good time with it. It's not so expensive because their companies are greedy. It's expensive because of what is being put into the game. It's expensive because of who works on the game. And also, if you look at back in the 90s, Nintendo games were still running about 50 to 60-ish, right? So if they go up, it kind of matches the times. So I
Yeah.
hope that kind of explains a different perspective, Sean.
Yeah.
It's
Better
definitely
very well.
not. It's definitely not. We're just a big mean old company, and we just want your money. No.
Yeah, and to add to that, and to give you a little bit of peace of mind, the Nintendo of America president, he was asked about that when Tears of the Kingdom was sold for $70, and he said that don't expect every game for Nintendo to be $70 because they plan on making tiers of pricing for Nintendo. There will be games that will stay at $59. There will be games that are at $49, and there will be games that are $70. It just depends on how big the game is, right? The scope of the game. Tears of the Kingdom is a massive game, right? It's such a big leap from Breath of the Wild. Breath of the Wild is a $59 game. Tears of the Kingdom is a $70.
I think Tears of the Kingdom unofficially is like maybe about 150 to 200 hours, start to finish if you 100% it. Probably about 150-ish hours if you just do the main story and the main side quest. So think of it like this. Think of it like this. If you were to spend $70 at Dave & Buster's and you take your little boo thing, $70 isn't going to even pay for your drinks.
There's a buffet and Dave &
Yes,
Buster's?
yes, Mike, yes. So I said your boo thing. When you take your honey with you, you take somebody special with you to Dave & Buster's.
If there's a buffet, my wife can stay home. I'll just go to the buffet myself. Buffet.
You're so silly. If you think about it, $70 for potentially 150 hours worth of game, a game that you can do a section, put it down, come back. You can plan out your own route of what you want to do in the game for your gaming time. That's kind of a good deal because Dave & Buster's, you're not going to have much fun with only $70.
You know.
Yeah.
I've seen every other medium go up. When I was 17 years old, I'm gonna take you back to the year 2000, my first job. I worked at Electronics Boutique, a video game store.
I remember that.
EB Games, basically.
Yeah.
I made minimum wage, which was $5.75 an hour in October of 2000. I would have to work 11 hours to cover over $60 to cover The Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask that at the time cost $60. That was also when Nintendo was paying them, their employees, those appropriate wages when their DWP bills for running gas and electric and power were those prices, when they had those insurance rates for their employees, that level of janitorial service costing that much money to help run and keep clean those buildings, etc., for those artists, those musicians, etc. at the time, and I had to work 11 hours to pay for that game. Now, I don't make minimum wage anymore, and nothing wrong with it, but minimum wage has gone up. In California, it's now over $16. You would have to work 4 hours these days in comparison to make that $64, $66 or whatever at minimum wage to pay for today's $60 games. Everything else has gone up. When I would go see Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, the movie ticket was $6. Nowadays, the movie ticket is $20. My X-Men comic that I was buying in 2000 or Street Fighter in 2004, it cost a couple. Comics are now $5. Everything has gone up. Gasoline, milk. Used to be able to buy a Famous Star or a Whopper for $1. Now it's $6.
And
y'all remember the dollar menu?
No, and the thing is that if you add inflation,
has gone up.
Yeah.
You look at $60 from then and see how much it's now. It's gone up, and the games cost more because the games are also bigger. They have bigger teams. More people worked on Breath of the Wild, and it took more human men, women, human hours to make that game for more years, paying them modern day wages and other things, the insurance to cover those people, the raises, their profitability, their longevity, their worth in the company, the artist rates, the voice actor rates, everything. It's so much of a bigger game that it costs so much more. Even without inflation, it costs more. Is it not worth it? And you're getting a bigger game factually So it costs more to make. The times have gone up. The amount of money that people are spending on gas to go to work for these jobs have gone up. Everything's gone up. Yet it's only $10 more. And then when you look at it, like I said, you're also only working a handful of hours compared to back in the day working a lot more. So when everything else has gone up, I love video game industry because it stayed the same. You know what the problem is? I'm gonna one more tiny rant. People are feeling it more because it's a greater percentage going from 60 to 70 like that, and it's jarring. But trust me, you would have rather had that happen than the alternative would be 50 cents a year increasing over the last 20 years. Because you would have felt a little bit less bad, like, okay, video games in 2000 cost 60. 2001 games cost $60.50. And then in 2002, they cost 61. You're like, okay, it's going up by 50 cents. And then 62.50 and 63, all the way up until now. Here we are, and it's now 70. But guess what? That means you would have been paying more this entire time. Every year, cents per cents, dollar per dollar, all that time, it would have been a smaller increase, less ouch, but you've been wasting hundreds of dollars respectively. Instead, right now you feel the jump more, but in reality, everything else is actually quite fine. And how much it costs, like Joycey said, those costs have gone up, those teams have gone up, and all the other things that we don't take into consideration, like the wages, like running the air conditioning. It's costing them more to run these supercomputers and keep the rooms cooler now than it did 20 years ago because everything else has gone up. I think video game is still a fantastic hobby. Personally, make us $70 for the games that are worth it, but you could even make that argument they're all worth it because it costs more to make.
Yeah.
I even think about books.
I agree. I agree
sorry,
with Paul,
Mike.
but I think that I also think that in the wider scope of life, outside of video games, because everything is now more expensive, right? I think people are more stressed out when it comes to their money because believe it or not, inflation has gone up, but pay has not gone up. We were minimum wage here in Central Florida was $15. $15 3 years ago. I would say 3 to 4 years ago, before inflation was crazy. It's still $15 now, and after inflation. And so a lot of people basically are paying, when they used to pay $3 for a gallon of milk, they're paying $10 for a gallon of milk. People used to pay $1 something or $2 for a dozen eggs. They're paying $5 to $6 to $7. And so I think it's an overall thing that people they're more stressed out with where the money is going because everything else has gone up. But pay has stayed basically the same, has not caught up to inflation. Although companies are trying hard too, because even bigger companies like Nintendo and everywhere else are also struggling because of inflation. I think it's the stress of life itself that a price hike for a game is not that big of a deal, because if we look at it over time, Nintendo's literally stayed like the same. They haven't done much with price hikes, and even with their consoles, everybody's selling their consoles for almost $600. Nintendo keeps their consoles at $299. They give you options: $199, $299, $349. You have your pick, right? And then of course all the sales, they're constantly having sales throughout the entire Nintendo Switch lifetime. But even that, outside of the world, inflation going up and wages not going up, at least in this area and in other areas that I've known people who approach. I think that's the overall, consensus that, hopefully things change economically around the world, because the entire world is suffering inflation. It's not just us; it's everyone else.
One more thing.
And so,
I'm sorry.
I'm saying I'm done.
You're cutting out on my end. Is it? I think it's me.
Yeah, hopefully we get back to a point where inflation doesn't affect us as much, and we don't see a $10 price hike as a big thing.
I was gonna say, I went and grabbed my Twilight book. This is hardback. When I bought this when the Twilight series was hot, I got it on sale for $14.99.
Nice.
At the time, the hardback books were probably about $21. Now, this exact same book, brand new, is probably close to $30. It's the same story. It's the same characters. Ooh, it still even smells good. So no matter what your hobby is, you're gonna pay for it, big time.
Oh,
and this is not the only hardback book I own. All my books are hardback.
Yeah, and for anybody wondering why things going up, it's just a chain reaction of one thing going up: oil. When oil goes up, it takes more money for things to travel across. So then companies have to make that difference that they pay, and it passes it on to us. So that's basically what inflation is. It's just like a roller coaster of things going up, and then at the end, us as consumers, we see things going up. Lesson: Nintendo has been pretty good throughout inflation. They've kept their prices very low, and they've been very considerate with all fans out there. I think Nintendo, the what they're doing with price, even with inflation and everything else, I think that the price layer is actually fair. You know, it's fair because the more you work on the game, I think that the more it should cost, right? The longer, the bigger the game is, the more it should cost, right? And so, yeah, that's actually a very good topic to end with because it's important, right? We discussed game prices and stuff. The Nintendo Switch 2 is going to be a little bit more pricier than the Switch was, I'm guessing it's because it costs Nintendo more because it's a beefier system with better specs, and so they have to kind of also make that money and not lose. Nintendo's been pretty good with I think they're the only ones who actually make a profit, right, out of their consoles. Not only consoles but also their software. PlayStation, they lose on their consoles because they want to make on software, and so does Xbox. They lose on their consoles because they want to make software. They want to make it up with software. But yeah, thank you guys so much. I want to go ahead and pass it out to the great Paul Gale Network. Paul, what do you have going on this week? Let us know, and where can we find you?
This weekend, I don't have any games set up to play yet. I did just beat Final Fantasy VII Rebirth demo. That was really good. I'll probably play some Bluey, the video game, this weekend.
Nice. Yeah.
I got that for Christmas, and we didn't beat it, and it's quite a bit of fun for like the 3 or 4 of us. Oh no, it's 3 of us, to play together. So I'm probably gonna beat Bluey. Actually, that sounds like fun.
Yeah.
And where am I? I am on Twitter /X at Paul Gale Network, and on YouTube also Paul Gale Network. And yeah.
Listen, Paul Gale Network on Twitter and YouTube. You're gonna get I'm not gonna say you're gonna get your money's worth, but it's a follow that you're gonna get back from, because Paul shares a lot of good information on Twitter when it comes to Nintendo sales and perspective. Okay, which is top of the line. Okay, you get a good follow there because he has so many years of experience. He has great videos on his channel that from back in the day, from him turning Super Saiyan, from to him becoming a Power Ranger. So I mean, it's entertaining, okay? Plus, his experience is all there on YouTube for you to witness. So, Paul Gale Network, and then Joycey J. Where can we find you, Zelda Mama?
I am Joycey J, and if you're looking for me this weekend, I will be playing Splatfest. I believe Splatfest has already started.
Ooh.
I am late. What are the teams? But teams are best day of the weekend. Friday, Team Friday, Team Saturday, or Team Sunday. I am going to be Team Saturday because that is the best day of the weekend.
It is.
And also a couple other quick updates. Don't forget, y'all, Splatoon 3 side order DLC drops on the 22nd. Nice. It's gonna be lit. I am so excited. I've been waiting for this. And I had to grab this date. The new fresh season for Splatoon 3 begins March 1st, 2024. New weapons, new maps, more. There's another map coming also for Salmon Run. I am thoroughly excited. So just wanted to drop that line. If you do want to talk about Zelda, I am DJ Joycey on Twitter. I'm just a crazy old lady who loves video games.
And of course, you can find DJ Joycey Day here at the Nintopics Podcast every single Friday. and possibly in more videos later on, because I want to use Josie a lot and Paul in my regular new show that's coming up. You can find me here at the Odyssey Monday to Friday, talking about Nintendo news every Friday live at the podcast. I'm gonna try. I've heard you guys. I'm gonna try to stream more because I don't stream enough. And then my streams are always like very surprised. Like, okay, I show up one day out of the blue and start streaming. I'll promise to stream more.
You stream when I'm taking a nap all the time.
Right? And they're never scheduled. I just let go on there. But I promise I'm gonna stream more. I'm gonna set up a schedule. The schedule I'm thinking about is Monday, Wednesday, and then of course we have Friday for the podcast. So Monday and Wednesday streams, and then podcasts, and then my streams are always gonna be a little earlier because I got two friends with podcasts in the nighttime, and I don't want to interlap with them. One of them is Andre. Andre Restart has his podcast on Monday nights. Nintendo Prime. Nate has his podcast on Wednesday nights, and of course you have the Nintopics podcast on Friday. So I recommend all three podcasts if you like to, have something throughout the week to watch. And of course we all have great content on each channel. But yeah, you can find here. I have a brand new show that I cannot wait to talk to you guys about. Brand new show, brand new logo, brand new everything. It's Nintendo news, but it's different. Okay, you might see Joycey in some episodes. You might see Paul in some episodes. You might see also Zach Hendricks. He's not here. You might see him in some episodes. Just like
and some other friends.
And some other friends on the channel as well. Yeah. So stay tuned for that. I'm excited to share more information later on. I want to share it now, but I can't because in due time. But that is going to do it, my friends. Thank you so much for being here. You could have been anywhere else, but you chose to spend your time, have your snacks, sit back and relax here at the Nintopics podcast on the best night ever, Friday night. Thank you guys so much for being here. Before we let you go, we got two things we gotta let you know, and it's not what they say in WWE. Okay, it's not that. It's number one, Paul.
Never give up.
Don't do that. We need you.
Yeah, you can't. Don't ever give up. You have dreams, you have goals. Don't ever give up. And more importantly, don't let anybody tell you you cannot do something. If you have a dream, go for it. At the end, it's your dream. Nobody can see your dreams but you, right? So, and number two, journey on.
Journey on.
Journey continues. And let me see if I can find the music.
This is going to be fun. This is the most hilarious part of the whole podcast. Is trying to end the podcast.
It never ends.
That's a good ending, but
let's just go into the direct next week. It's fine.
Yeah.
No, that's not it. All right, that is it. Where's Paul? Paul's not dancing.
I'm getting the jazz hands ready.
Jazz dance too early.
A little early.
Paul did his jazz dance early, but I'll let it pass. I'll let it pass, Paul.
We have to practice, guys. Practice.
The jazz dance. I know everybody in the chat is doing jazz dance, and I know a little jazz dance with us, right? Jazz hands.
We need a jazz hands emote.
Crazy Cause did it. He did it. Look. He did it. Look, jazz hands. Jazz hands. We did it.
Mike, turn your stream off.
Take care.
Good night, guys.
Peace.